All right, Travis Neville Podcast, episode 3. Um, it's been brought to my attention that hey, I wrote a self-help book, and that second episode was pretty negative. I mean, there wasn't anything in there to help anybody. I suppose that makes sense. Um, but I want to talk about this anyway. I had a former student come to me, young guy, 20 years younger than I am actually, and he is married. He's got like a 1 year old daughter, I think. High school sweethearts. He's a military guy, so they get married early usually. Um, anyway, he came to me and said that he was having some problems in his marriage. So, I take that as a compliment, right? As I've said several times, I am no expert, but shit, man, I've been through a little bit of life, right? You read the book, you'll see I've been divorced. Certainly been in trouble, definitely been in some jams. So it was cool that he came to me, and it sounds eerily similar as the words that he kept using. As he'd be talking and I'm listening, and I'd share a quick little story about my divorce, and that would get him going. He'd just be like nodding his head, like, and I'm like, what's going on? He'd be like, yeah, that's happening. That's what's going on. So, one of the things that it sounds like she's trying to do to this poor guy, um, she's separating him from his family. Like, and again, I'm just getting it from his side, but the important part here is the helping piece, right? Helping somebody. That's one of the points in the book. That's behavior 4. He basically said that because they've moved around the country, and maybe this might have happened, maybe it might not have because of that, but she doesn't have any friends, and so she just stays home with the baby, and now, he's in a job where he's in a career that has been banned by our piece of shit governor here in Michigan, basically. So he can't really work much. So she's gonna have to work, and she won't do it. She's got a job, and she just keeps calling in. I just want to stay home with our daughter, and that's cool. I mean, I get it. I don't really get it. I'm not a parent, but you want to stay home with the kid. That's a good thing. That's a good motivator. But I mean, hey, you got to do what's right for your family, right? Um, anyway, so it sounds like she's just a real homebody, and that's kind of a big piece of it. And he said as they moved around the country, she didn't, never made any friends, didn't pick up any friends as neighbors, or, I mean, none of that. And, well, he always did. I mean, granted, he was a military guy, so he was around peers, I suppose, a lot. But geez, even in the stuff that he's doing right now, um, he's made a bunch of new friends. Anyway, she is of the opinion that he should just be home all the time, like she is, and she's frustrated when he isn't, or when he doesn't want to be, when he kind of wants to go out sometimes. And I know the guy. He's a high character guy. I mean, he's not, Tuesday nights bowling, Wednesday nights golf. Like, he's not one of those guys who just doesn't want to be home. He just understands the balance of it. And I got to get the hell out of the house once in a while. That's a thing that I think a healthy person needs to do. Um, anyway, so that's a part of the problem for sure. He doesn't want to, of course he wants to be home and be with his family, but you got to get out and do some stuff too. And especially now that she's kind of refusing to work, he's having to go out more and more to try to find ways to make money. And, the key there is the isolation thing. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert, not in any way, but I know that my ex-wife did that shit to me. She tried to, we moved to a different state, and that wasn't because of her. But once we got there, she'd use the phrase "bad influence" when referring to my basically everyone I knew, my family, my close friends. Um, and she tried to isolate me from them. I don't know what her reasoning was for that. I'm not sure what goes on in a person's head to make them think that that's the right thing. I'm sure she thought she was doing the right thing. As my buddy's wife probably does too. She probably thinks the same thing. But, he also let on that his wife's family doesn't like him. They don't like him. I'll tell you, man, he's the most likable guy. And granted, I have a different set of standards or context for knowing him than they do. But he's not. He's a good dude. I mean, define bad guy, define good guy. He falls on the good side. He's not any kind of abusive. He's not, doesn't cheat on her. So take away all that bad stuff. And then you look at the good stuff. Good man out there trying to make money, trying to support his family. He's around. He takes care of them. He bought a house for them that they live in. He let on that to me. He didn't let on. He specifically said, my main motivator here is to create a home for my family. I want to take care of her. I want her to be able to live a better life than she did when she was a kid, talking about his wife. And then, of course, by extension, his daughter as well, which, I assume is a major motivator for any parent. Anyway, so I started to give him some advice. And, I don't mind doing that, I suppose. But there's always a little part of me that's going, all right, Travis, you got to reel this in a little bit, because you might not know everything that's going on. But I just told him, hey, man, there's a thing that's holding you back from doing what you really want to do. I can look at your face and hear what you're saying and tell that you are conflicted, that what you want and what you are doing are two different things, or what you think you should be doing and what you really want. I don't know. There's a conflict going on there. So what is it? What's the tension that's in you? And he said that, it was that it is, this loyalty, want to be a good man, want to do the right thing, wants to keep his word. All of these things that we're taught from, at least if you have good parents, that you're taught from the time that you're young, you should be doing as an adult. You should be, doing all this stuff. And he feels like if he were to leave her, and side note, which is actually kind of a big ass right down the middle note, he's got friends who pretty much all of his best friends, his oldest friends, the ones that he had from high school that he's still in touch with, which I think is extremely healthy. I generally look at people who don't still have friends from high school, and I always question that. I'm like, well, why not? Why did you not develop good relationships? I feel like in most cases, a high school, especially a public high school, has such a broad range of types of people. It shouldn't be tough to fall into a category, if that's what it takes, and find some people who are like you and make lasting friendships with them. You know what I mean? And he's done that. He's got these great friends, and he said that all of them has at some point, each of them has at some point told him, dude, she's not good for you. You're fun, and we like having you around, but she sucks. His best friends are telling him, which I'll tell you from a friend's perspective, it's fucking hard. When I started, I wasn't even engaged to my now ex-wife. When one of my best friends came to me and said, Travis, you got to split with her, dude. Like, she's doing bad shit to you. She's fucking with you. You're not going to be happy here. It's going to get worse and worse. And that guy was righter than hell. He couldn't have been more right. And you think of the balls that it took to come to your friend and say, dude, this ain't working. Because the risk that you're taking, okay, now we're friends, right? But he knows that this is the woman I'm with. And that could cause a rift between he and I forever. It's a big-ass risk. Certainly, if the word gets out, it's going to cause a rift between the woman and him, right? Which it did. Once she kind of figured that out, that he was not on her team, oh, man, she couldn't have shunned him harder. That basically, and I had a wise friend of mine at the time, older guy, tell me, that's going to mean that you never really see him much anymore. Because if she doesn't want to see him, you're not going to see him. And I'm like, oh, no way. There's no way I'm ever not going to see Eric, But sure as shit, it did. For quite a while, I barely saw the guy. And he's the only one. He was the first one, I should say, that came up early and had the balls to tell me that. And thanks, dude. Honestly, and I thanked you. I did after we got divorced and everything. I came to Eric and said, hey, man, Took a lot of balls to do that. Anyway, so this young guy, his friends are all doing that. And they're just gentle pressure on him. Dude, this isn't right. Dude, this isn't right. Man, you got to listen to that shit. I mean, if you've, here's the thing. When you choose your friends, it's almost like a mirror, right? You pick these people that they're like you, and they have similar opinions to you, and they look at the world the same way. So they're almost like an outside version of yourself, especially when you can kind of pull the whole group kind of as, all together. So when they tell you a thing, and I'm not saying that let your friends determine your life and dictate all this shit. Not at all. But you better fucking listen. I mean, whether that creates changes or not, whether you do exactly what they say or not, up to you. That's your call. Your behaviors are what are most important. But anyway, so he's got his friends telling him that. And so the kid's just torn, man. He's got his friends pulling him one way. His wife's pulling him a different way. His conscience, his being, his heart is kind of going both ways. I don't know, but he's afraid. And I said, man, what are you afraid of? And he said, man, I don't want to not see my daughter. Then he got emotional, and man, it was tough. It was tough listening to him going through that. It's I've never been lucky enough to have kids, but if I did, I can't imagine that it would be easy to deal with what he's dealing with. And at such a young age, too, man. He's not even 26, which, as that's when your frontal lobe matures. You can start making decent decisions. And it's all just spinning around him. He's still got a lot of emotion driving him because he's not quite all the way there yet. And, yeah, that fear is a bitch. You know what I mean? And my advice to him, in retrospect, I wish I would have said this piece that I'm going to say right now. What's stronger, the fear or the love, right? What's stronger, the fear or the love? The fear that he has is of making the wrong decision, okay? He's afraid that if I make choice A, I don't know, you define it as you will. If I make the choice, let's say, to leave her, then I'll see my daughter less, and that's almost definitely going to happen. If I make the other choice, and this is the advice I wish I'd have given him, is you when you're around her, she's going to know that you're not all the way happy. She'll know that you're happy with her. The kid will, I assume. But certainly from an early age, that kid. I mean, when you don't have the ability to talk and understand words, it's crazy what you can pick up on with people in interactions. It's like, how when you lose one of your senses, if you go blind, your hearing becomes amazing, right? Everybody's heard that. When your words aren't there, all you have are tone of voice and body language and facial expressions. And these are the things that this child is going to be picking up on. And if she sees that, and she'll understand it between you and your wife, if that situation is shitty, your kid's going to know it, and you'll be imprinting on them that discord, that everything isn't happy. So they'll be picking up on this unhappiness. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not a psychologist, but I'd imagine that would do some shit to a kid that she'll end up dealing with as an adult. When you get into a marital relationship or a serious relationship, you're going to have these weird things going on that, that's going to fuck with her sense of normal at the very least. If you've got a tense marriage, and there are some problems there that are the kid's picking up on, that kid's starting to define normal right now, and normal can just be feelings and senses, I mean, shit, like I talked about, and this was a big kind of deal for me when I was married and then eventually getting divorced, was this idea that, my dad, he's a great dude. He's a unique motherfucker, that's for sure. He's kind of an odd duck sometimes, but great guy, okay? Definition of means well, all right? But as a kid, all right, when I was a little kid, my mom and my dad seemed like, as far as I could tell, they got along great, and they had an awesome relationship, and seemed like it as far as I knew. But then into my teenage years, that's when they started having trouble. And I know that from having conversations with both of my parents about when did the shit start. They never told us. They never shared it with us. But you can fucking see it. You can look at a couple and know that shit ain't going well. It's not hard to do. You can see it from across a restaurant. Back when we had restaurants. Fuck Gretchen Whitmer, by the way. You can see it. And as a result, my dad was so preoccupied with the shit that was going on with my mom. And, hey, rightly so. You got a lot of shit going on there. That's got to be tough. That he became very difficult mountain to climb. I always wanted his approval. I wanted him to respect me and be proud of what I was doing. And during those teenage years when I really needed it, I couldn't get it. Like I would try to impress him and try to, through sports and didn't matter what I did. And he couldn't see it because the shit he was going through. So it seemed like an insurmountable mountain. And that defined for me some of my sense of normal, right? So it extended it so far that, I got to the point in college where I'm like, well, I can't fucking please this guy. So I'm just going to quit trying. I got to get him out of my life at least at some phase. You know what I mean? So because I can't win. It's just a constant loss. It's the Sisyphus myth where you're pushing the rock up and you just can't fucking get it all the way up there. It just won't go. Anyway, then I meet my now ex-wife, and she was just like that. I don't know what the fuck was. I do know what the fuck her problem was, but I couldn't please her. It didn't matter what it was. It wasn't enough. I'd remodel a room, and she'd come in and point out all the problems. There was never any, hey, looks great. I'm not asking her to drop to her knees and, go to it. Wouldn't have minded it every once in a while, but there was never any positive. I mean, and she had a lot of shit going on in her head, and she was a fucking mess. That poor girl. Anyway, my point is this, that I couldn't solve that relationship with my dad, so I ended up finding a partner who was just like that, because on some level, it felt normal. Like, it felt like this is how it's supposed to be at some deep down level. It was the craziest shit. Once we got married, soon after that, we moved into this nice house, and we had this life going that I thought was going to be good. And I thought, I got to fix this relationship with my dad. At that point, I was strong enough where I could do it. So I started calling him, spending time with him, talking to him as much. Like, he lives a long ways away, so I couldn't see him. But I talked to him all the time and started rebuilding this relationship. And he came to visit, and we spent some time together a few different times, and I felt finally that weight was off my shoulders, that I had kind of readjusted my expectations for my old man. And so then, my life with him, that situation was finally, it was like a monkey off my back. Cool, fuck. I remember the relief and one night just having a beer and thinking, fuck, that was on my back for like fucking 10 years, maybe shit more than that, almost 20. And I got off my back, and then, almost immediately, my desire to be around this woman was gone, because that sense of normal that I got from being with my, that tension I had with my dad, all of a sudden, I'd come home to my wife, and that tension was there, and it was the most disgusting thing ever. I couldn't fucking handle it at all. Like, it got real depressing real quick. And, so then we get divorced and all that shit, and I didn't tell this young guy all these things that I'm saying right now. But I'm telling you, I'm coloring this for you so that you know where I'm coming from when I say that, when I talk about this sense of normal shit. This is the Russian roulette almost. I know that's a strong analogy, but that he's playing with the daughter. Because if she starts picking up the hey, parents, a couple should have, somebody should be pissed at the other one all the time, and somebody should be disappointed all the time, and fuck, that ain't good, man. And like I told you, they are like this very impressionable mush right now, and the impressions you make on them, much like their soft skulls and their soft bodies, they're going to leave a mark, and it's going to last into adulthood. That's the advice I wish I'd have given him, that, man, this is the fucking risk you're playing, the risk you're taking by, if you stay too long. It's going to be some turmoil when you split, for sure. But in the long run, it might be better, And I had another buddy who was in an affair for quite a long time, and a guy that I coached with who came to me and said that I told him that he didn't come to me and say anything. I knew what was going on. I'm like, man, this risk you're taking with your sons. This is what they're going to see. They're going to see this is how mom and dad were, so this is what I'm going to seek out without even knowing it. It's this subconscious sense of normal, which is fucked up, not a thing you want to give. So I wish I'd have told him that. My feeling is that this is the first time hearing of it. He said it's been a year and a half that things have been tough. Shit, man, that's a long time in 24-year-old years. To me, a year and a half seems like a fucking week. But to him, a year and a half probably seems like a lifetime. So that's got to be tough. It's got to be really tough. And, yeah, fuck, man. I told him this for sure. I said, hey, you also don't know the damage that you're doing to yourself. And I shared the circumstances of me leaving my ex-wife and, how long it took me to kind of find any kind of normal after that. I mean, it was years. It was years. And for him, imagine the mountain that seems like to climb. Like, to me, planning something out 2 years in advance, cool. I mean, I know that time's going to go by like that at this point, The weeks fly for me, that's for sure. I mean, it's crazy. It's winter right now, but I know, like, tomorrow I'm going to be bitching about how hot it is. It's going to be football practice, but anyway, that's an example of behavior number 4, which is help somebody. I'm complimented that this young man chose me to be these are his words, the mature, wise voice. What a great compliment, and I hope that I didn't steer him wrong. I just, I wanted to share, hey, I've been through this shit, and if I can help somebody out, great. That's why I wrote the damn book, okay? I'm not tooting my own horn here, which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind doing. But the book, it really is. It's the shit that I used without even knowing it to get through my divorce. I used it to get through the second woman that I was with after that. Getting through breaking up with her. If my shit can help you, great. I mean, that's the goal, okay? I am trying to help, truly. And his name we shall not say forever, but my first troll. What occurred to me, man? What if this guy's kid really is turning into a woman? I might have fucked him. No, that's not true. All I did is make a comment and say, hey, read chapter 9, and good luck to you. I'll help in any way I can. So if it really is happening, if this guy isn't fucking with me, then he's not going to pick up the fact that I'm fucking with him. So hopefully, that's fine too. But anyway, that's a thing that I dealt with. Habit number 4. My name is Travis Neville. I wrote this book. It's called The Jossman Method. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible. And the Audible version I recommend highly because it's like a half an hour longer. More. You could tell. I mean, it isn't a long book. It's 88 pages. Okay, there's not much to it. Well, I don't think it needs to be that long. Shit, you're just trying to get through a bad situation. That'll help you. But the audiobook has a lot more information because I read the damn thing. And then my cousin Rod, who is also a forensic psychologist, he interviews me between each chapter. And the conversation that comes out is good. Because after, you write a book, you go through all these edits, and all of a sudden it's in print, and you're like, fuck, I wish I'd have said this, wish I'd have said that. There's a bunch of shit that I then say in the interview section that is in the book. So anyway, Audible, it's on iTunes, it's on Amazon. If you just Google the Jossman Method, that's an unusual word. Let's see if I can get, no, it's over this shoulder. Jossman is an unusual word. There's basically nothing else on the internet with that name except for this book, so it shouldn't be difficult for you to find it. Go get it. Like I said, I think I can put a link in my YouTube account, and that will make it easier to find too. But anyway, I was going to wait a week between these things, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just hit them as I have things to discuss, and hopefully I can get some guests here soon. If you have any ideas about guests that I should have or angles that I should take, drop it in the comments section down below. And if you feel it, put a like. If you feel it, put a dislike. I don't mind haters, as you know. and subscribe if you would. I don't know if that fucking helps me or not, but you listen to these guys on YouTube, they're always like, hit like, subscribe. Like, I don't know, does that fucking help something? So I feel like I should say that. Anyway, Travis Neville Podcast. I will talk to you guys in a few days or whatever. Thanks.